Hard Reset is a simple game, an old-school type of shooter where the only thing you really need to worry about is blowing stuff up as quickly as possible. There's no multiplayer, the story isn't particularly interesting, and none of the characters are memorable. Despite that, Flying Wild Hog Shooter is still a lot of fun. Comic book style cutscenes explain the story of Hard Reset, though few are worth watching. They're okay to gain a vague sense of context about the sinister corporations that populate the future, but it's difficult to get invested when the story and characters are all so flat. Then again, this type of straightforward shooter has never really been about story or character, so in that sense, Hard Reset doesn't get in your way if all you want to do is shoot robots.
For f***'s sake, are you blind?
If you've got the hardware to max the settings, Hard Reset is also a really pretty game. The rain-soaked nighttime cityscapes make the lighting effects and explosions all the more dramatic, adding excitement to each combat encounter. Hard Reset is pretty much all about the guns. You only get 2 to start, but by killing enemies and discovering special items, you'll earn upgrades to evolve your destructive capabilities. Genre standbys like a rocket launcher, shotgun, and railgun are here, but become more interesting to use once you unlock the secondary functionality. Shotguns can spray stun pellets, your energy mortar can set down a stasis field to freeze enemies, and your rockets can erupt into cluster missiles. Using these abilities together, like freezing enemies in a stasis field and following up with a few rocket shots, can be really satisfying. It's simple shooting with some added depth. The enemy types do a good job of forcing you to stay on the move, keeping the action exciting. The small Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle-like mousers attack in packs, while bipedal robots charge at high speed from a distance and stomp at close range. Because this is a classically styled shooter, there's no cover system, so you'll need to rely more on your twitch skills than your ability to cower behind walls. It also features a lot of explosive elements in the environment, making the combat feel even more chaotic as barrels, cars, and canisters explode during the course of a battle. Though the enemy types included are fun to fight, there are too few of them. Even though Hard Reset is a short game, it still feels like many of the combat encounters are recycled. Fighting is always challenging, especially at higher difficulty levels, but Hard Reset could use more variety. The 2 encounters against colossal bosses are a good way to break up the combat encounters, but the fights in between often feel repetitive. With an unlockable EX mode that lets you replay the game with all your weapon unlocks, there is reason to play through Hard Reset again at higher difficulties, but the mode doesn't do a whole lot to distract from the game's short length and lack of enemy variety. Still, what's included is a lot of fun. The action is fast and challenging, and playing around with all the weapon functions adds some depth. Ultimately, it's a simple, straightforward game, an older style of shooter that gets a lot of things right. If all you want to do is blast through mobs of crazed robots and marvel at the pretty explosions, Hard Reset is a good choice. For more about Flying Wild Hog Shooter, head over to IGN.com.